It's so funny. I really thought the last fight could have been the one that kicks off the main card because maybe some of the name value and Luana being, who she is, but there's gonna be two Luanas here. So Luana number one is ending off the prelims, and Luana number two, aka Luana Carolina, is gonna be taking on Poliana Botelho in what kicks off the main card on Saturday. And this is an interesting fight. One of my favorite parts about it is the 100% takedown offense versus the 100% takedown defense in Botelho and Carolina, respectively. I think that this is a fight where you're going to see Botelho really take that planted Muay Thai stance and just try to come in with a lot of power, probably pushed up against the fence and really working some of her Muay Thai Jiu-Jitsu game. Because, the thing about Carolina that I liked was we've seen her land blows, right? She's a very good technical striker. The Cachoeira fight, I mean, if you want to even enjoy a fight from even a slight comedy perspective, I mean, Sarfabek Safarov is in my GOAT tier of that. The Gian Vellante and Sarfabek Safarov fight will always be in a class of its own for me. But in this one, there's actually a moment where DC and Cruz enjoy a very friendly moment in between fights because this fight is actually enjoyable from a fan perspective. And you can tell that these guys were enjoying it from that perspective because even if there's a point in the second round where DC is kind of giggling and being like, man, these kicks are so good. She's not seeing them at all. They're landing from both sides. It was like the perfect commentary to kind of keep the giggles going because it was true. The nickname just held true in that entire fight. Cachoeira was just taking head kicks square to the face and just not moving, pushing forward. And so you kind of gain respect for both fighters, both from an offense and defensive perspective and striking. But, if you look at the direct stats here, that's where I kind of was, we talked about how equivalent that offense versus defense, the takedown game is. But, in the striking landed and stuff like that, I just think that Luana has a bit more of an advantage, especially in a Cachoeira fight with probably inflated some of her numbers here, but I think that's going to be where she has to use the distance striking. She has good kicks, maybe if they're not the most powerful, if your nickname's Zombie Girl, you probably got a chin. So keep playing your game. Maybe they do land against other fighters. I think this is one where you can really see just how good both of these girls are. The Lipsky fight was the one where she lost via, first round submission. I think those are the things you're going to learn, right? In this case, you just got to keep playing your game. I think she is by trade a distance striker who's able to keep the fight on the feet, look pretty good against the fence, in her couple wins there. So that's where you want to avoid kind of dictating the pace. I think once it gets up against the fence, and even if she gets on her back, maybe for the first takedown ever, a girl like Poliana Botelho is going to be using the elbows, is going to be using the clinch work. She's a Muay Thai style fighter. So once the fight gets so close, and especially against the fence, you might start seeing the taller fighter taking big, big blows. Because one thing that we pointed out with Luana, if you watch the fights with some of the commentary there, her neck is straight up like a dinosaur. Like she is just moving around like this, just waiting to get clipped. And so in this case, Botelho, who's bringing in a bit more power, a bit more strength, and is able to take that fight to the ground, watch out for those big elbows, watch out for that clinch work, because I think that's where she's going to find some success if it's not in the distance striking. And so when we quickly take a look at these lines, I mean, Botelho opened at a minus 165 and now sitting at a minus 275. I mean, off the bat, that's got to be one of the biggest line jumps across the board on this card. Luana Carolina getting no respect, opening at a plus 145, moving all the way to a plus 235. That's probably one of the most drastic changes I've seen. And I think that's fair in some ways, because I think Botelho's offense and the way she kind of brings the power is what Carolina seems to have issues with. I think that the zombie style fighting, I think that works in her favor, where she's able to just kind of do her, big time combo strikes and not throw too much power, but get that decision win. This is one where I think that she's met her match in terms of the fight getting a bit more close, maybe losing the opportunity of keeping it on the feet for too long. I think that's where she's really going to be testing her jiu-jitsu, stuff like that. So keep it out. I don't think the UFC is making any mistakes by making this a fight on the main card. It should be exciting, whether it finishes on the ground or on the feet. There's a good chance that one of these girls come out with a big finish. So, keep your eyes locked for that one.